Hi, I'm Rory Boland, editor of Which Travel magazine, and I will be answering all of your questions about future holidays. I wouldn't go quite so far as to say Europe is open for travel, but it is getting there. So we now have many countries. The majority of EU countries are open to either other Schengen area countries or the whole of the EU or the whole of the EU and the UK. So we definitely have seen a lot of progress. This week I've seen lots of travel journalist colleagues who live in Paris and Rome, different parts of Italy, sharing pictures of them eating in restaurants and cafes, and I have to say it looks fantastic. So close, but not just yet, I'm afraid. There are a number of problems still for us booking a holiday. Things are getting better, so things are looking up. We have seen some airlines relaunching its flights. Indeed, Easyjet has started flying again, albeit domestic routes in the UK. But both Easyjet and Ryanair are looking to have planes in the sky in July to many of our favourite destinations. Also, Spain and France have said that they will welcome back UK travellers, although there's a little bit of confusion at the moment about whether we will need to quarantine. And the reason for that is one of the biggest problems for us is because we will need to quarantine when we return. So France and Spain are saying potentially they will only allow us in without quarantine if we do the same. So at the moment, for all of us, if we do go abroad and we come back, that means committing to 14 days in self-isolation. That won't be doable for many people for a holiday. The other big hurdle is the Foreign and Commonwealth Office warning that remains in place against all non-essential travel to all destinations at the moment. Now, if you were to travel regardless of that warning, you would invalidate your travel insurance, so it wouldn't cover you for anything. That's a really big problem, especially given the potential for further disruption from, say, a second spike in coronavirus in a country. So you could be left with a really big bill if something went wrong. For me, at the moment, it's still too big a gamble to book a holiday abroad. UK travel restrictions aren't yet easing, but we're close. So the date to keep in mind if you're in England is the 4th of July. So that is the date when the UK government has said in England they are looking to open overnight accommodation. That's hotels, it's also caravan parks and campsites that there had been some suggestion they might open earlier, but that's not the case. But just to reiterate, that is the earliest they will open. So again, it is not a good time to book. If you were to book something for, say, the 5th of July, and the government comes out tomorrow and says, actually, we're extending the ban on travel, the ban on overnight accommodation, you could lose your money. And there's also added complexity if you are in Wales and Scotland, because the rules there are a little bit stricter. At the moment, people in Wales, for example, aren't allowed to go further than 5 miles from their house, and so that would prevent them from taking up any kind of overnight holiday accommodation, including travelling into England. It is also worth considering travel insurance if you are booking a holiday in the UK. Now, that's not something people would ordinarily buy for a UK trip, primarily because travel insurance really mostly is there to cover you for medical expenses when you're abroad, and of course here we have the NHS, so it's not required. But travel insurance does also cover you for disruption if you get the right policy. So say you had booked a trip in the UK and unfortunately someone in your party got ill and you decided you didn't want to go, you couldn't go, they couldn't go. Travel insurance could, if you got the right policy, cover you for that. So, you know, if it were me, if it was a cheap trip, just a weekend, I probably wouldn't be too concerned about it. But if I was booking an expensive trip in the UK, and I know many of us will be, travel insurance is definitely something to consider. And many of you listening may already have travel insurance because it's often packaged with bank accounts, for example, or comes as extras with other things. So it's worth checking if you have it, and if you don't and you're booking an expensive trip, do consider taking it out.